This episode is brought to you by Quince. As the temperatures start rising, I feel the familiar urge to refresh my closet, but I'm not wasting money on pieces that I'll only wear once or just for one season even, and Quince changes that. Their clothes are lightweight, they're timeless, and far more elevated than anything else at this price. Finally feels like my wardrobe matches my standards.
I got some really great pants from Quince. They actually fit me. They're wonderful. Give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. So go to quince.com/wildest for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/wildest to get free shipping, 365-day return, quince.com/wildest.
This episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Fresh air, sunshine, and good food, that's what spring is all about. Every HelloFresh meal uses high-quality ingredients, including seasonal fresh produce and proteins that travel from the farm to your doorstep, and they have flexible deliveries, so you can skip or pause when you need to.
I've never had a bad meal from HelloFresh. Feels great with meals fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/wildest10FM now to get 10 free meals with a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied at discount on the first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
Welcome to World's Wildest.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Today we have a very fun episode topic, and it is World's Most Confused. What does that mean?
Like, an animal's not supposed to be where you think it would be, or like, how does this work? Why does this work? That kind of thing. This was a viewer suggestion too. So thank
Viewer
you so
suggestion.
much.
If you guys are confused, my name's Maya. This is Connor.
Hi.
We co-host World's Wildest. It's a nature podcast where we tell you about Earth's most extreme creatures, or some of them. We have a new topic every week. And yeah, this week is World's Most Confused. How was your research? Did you like it?
Yeah.
You had a good time?
It came from my trip in Alaska. Some of it was very relevant.
Excellent.
I was confused.
Yeah.
And I was already doing this research to get unconfused.
Yeah.
And you're like, let's do this episode. I'm like, okay, perfect. I've been confused for like a week now. So.
Okay, big. That's great.
How was your research?
Great. I
Okay.
love both of my animals that I brought today. Like, I'm obsessed with them, Loki.
Okay, so this is going to sound mean, and I think my opinion will change. But I think from what I know, I feel like they're very mid, and I'm hoping to come back and be like, I love them so much.
So Connor's saying that we send each other what animals we're doing every week just so we don't research the same animal. So he doesn't know anything about the animal. But you thought my animals are mid?
Like,
why?
Your first one, I was like, I've only seen them a little bit, but I'm like, it doesn't seem that special. But I come into this all the time being like my first topic, I thought I was only going to be in there for like, maybe 10 minutes. I'm gonna have to do 4 animals today because I'm not going to have much for this.
Yeah.
And then this is huge thing, and I love it at the end. So that is where I'm hoping the journey goes.
I think you're going to love them.
Okay.
I think it's going to be awesome. Guys, if you haven't already, we are on Patreon. It helps this podcast a lot. If you subscribe to the Patreon, there is also bonus content on there. So it's a win-win for both of us. You guys get fun bonus episodes. We send out bookmarks that I draw to tier 3 subs, and we have a lot of fun. So you can check us out on Patreon if you would like, and you can like and subscribe to this YouTube video, or else.
Or else what?
Are you ready for my first one?
Okay.
Okay. My first one are marine iguanas.
Yeah.
Okay. They are listed as vulnerable.
Okay. That makes them like slightly above mid.
Points. Okay. This is a lizard from the Galapagos Islands. They can grow to be 4.3 feet long, or 1.3 meters, which is like really big.
Almost a Maya.
Yeah, almost one of me. And females are generally like 2 feet long, or like half a meter long. This is what they look like. Okay.
They're just chill guys.
It's kind of, it's like,
girls.
I think it's what you think of if you think of like a really big lizard. Or
Yeah.
a really big iguana. And then this is also what they look like.
They be swimming.
They are swimmers. Okay. This is the only lizard on Earth that spends time in the ocean. You don't think that's sick?
I do. I guess maybe like when I was did you get a ton of these in middle school and high school? Like a ton of documentaries on these?
Yes. Okay.
Specifically?
We've seen lots of footage of them.
But like I just been bombarded, and it's just become normal, I guess. But it's the only thing I ever got was like they swim underwater. That and like they eat down there.
Okay.
And that was the extent of the footage. And I'm
Okay.
like, there's gotta be more than that. That's cool.
Okay. So people think like 4.5 million years ago, marine iguanas evolved from land iguanas that were brought to the Galapagos. And they just adapted to survive by like just going in the ocean, which
Right.
is crazy
Smart.
for a lizard to just like go in the ocean.
Right.
They're herbivores, so they eat marine algae growing underwater. But I've also seen notes of them eating like crustaceans and stuff on land. So I don't know if they're
True.
like truly herbivores. But we have a video here of them swimming, and I think it looks so crazy. I know we've all seen the footage. Maybe you haven't seen the footage. If you haven't, go check it out if you're listening on audio platforms. But this is what they look like. So they come down. They have these really, really sharp claws. They can dive more than 65 feet down.
What?
20 meters underwater.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's
you dive.
not
I don't really have a reference for how far, if that's like a lot.
That's far.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how long that is. I just like, it's hard for me to conceptualize in the ocean.
We couldn't, pro free divers could try that, like do that, but like that's a lot.
They're primarily terrestrial. You can mute it. Isn't that crazy? Look at them swimming. They use their tails as little like propellers, like a little freaking ribbon, and they put their little legs back.
Their swimming is not mid, I will say.
Yeah, they're good
beautiful.
at it.
It's like a dragon. It's like what you would imagine like a dragon.
They do look like dragons. Here's the other thing about lizards, like swimming underwater, is lizards are ectotherms, right?
Yeah,
like they rely on external temperatures to regulate their internal body temperature, right? So that's why you see lizards like basking on rocks and stuff, because they need that to stay warm. The ocean is not warm. Like that's not chill for lizards and reptiles to just be in there. A normal lizard, if you throw them in the ocean, like it's GG's.
Yeah.
Like they're going to die.
Yeah. Lizards are dense too.
Yeah. It's crazy that they can do this. They have to bring their body temperature up to 97 degrees. Okay. So they sit in the sun, bring their body temp up before going in the water. They can lose up to 10 degrees Celsius or 19 degrees Fahrenheit. So they go from 97 to 79 degrees Fahrenheit when they're feeding, which is a big drop.
That is a big drop.
Like that's crazy. That's from 36 degrees Celsius to 26 degrees Celsius. And they spend usually like a few minutes underwater eating, but they can spend up to 30 minutes submerged, which is crazy.
30 minutes?
Yeah.
Submerged without coming up for air.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. Very impressive. Other things that happen when you're swimming in the ocean is a lot of salt intake. They have a really cool specialized organ to expel, or specialized gland to help expel salt without expelling water. This is like a diagram of what it looks like. That's where those glands are.
Oh.
And here's a video of them sneezing out salts. Have you seen this?
No.
Look, it's like a gun.
Oh. Not a defensive mechanism.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Audio listeners, we're looking at marine iguanas just like shooting out salt out of their nose. It looks bizarre. There's like some water that's coming out with it. But there's a lot of force behind that. They're so cute.
That's awesome.
They're so cute. Okay.
All right, they're starting to level up here.
Okay, they're leveling up. Here's the craziest one for you. Their dependency on the water makes them really susceptible to like El Nino events. El Nino events being a regularly occurring climate cycle that influences temperature and precipitation around the world. So it brings warmer waters to the Galapagos Islands. Warmer waters are bad for these lizards because it means red and green algae starts to disappear, and then brown algae increases. And they can't really eat the brown algae because it could be toxic. During El Nino events, 10 to 90% of marine iguanas can die. Crazy stat. 10 to 90% is bizarre. I think the real answer is they don't really know how many die, but a lot of them can die. What do they do to prevent dying in this case? Do you just want to guess? Their food source is going away because of warmer waters.
Not hibernation, but what's the other word for it?
Torpor. Nope.
No.
Nope.
They learned how to photosynthesize.
Nope. You're not gonna guess. They
eat rocks.
No.
I don't know.
They shrink.
What? Okay.
They can shrink in length and size.
That makes no sense.
By as much as 20%.
That's okay. Like I could see getting rid of like fat.
20%.
But length implies, unless there's like a ton of fat all around.
Cartilage and connective tissues make up only about 10% of the animal's lengths. So it's believed that their reduction in size could be, in part, them reabsorbing their own bone matter.
That's weird.
As much as 20%.
Do you know, I feel like it takes a lot of energy to break down bone and reabsorb it.
Yeah, probably. They can do it several times in their lifetime, though.
Jeez.
Like, they'll do it when there's El Nino events, and then they'll just, like, get longer again.
And then in a few years. How El Nino's every, I don't know how many
I don't know.
years. But that's insane, because it could happen with climate change. It could be severe every single year.
Yep.
Or every El Nino.
Once their preferred algae returns, they just regain the lost size. The phases can last several months each, but they can also, prolonged phases can last for years.
What?
They can just shrink 20%. And then when the food source comes back, they're like, all right, I can be bigger again. And they grow. And we're not talking like fat here.
Right.
Like we're talking length.
Yeah.
Length.
Not girth.
Of the lizard.
Yeah.
Literally like shrinking. That's crazy. Last coolest thing is the males change color for the mating season.
Oh.
Here's some pictures.
Beautiful.
Isn't that sick? It looks like an iguana, but it's got a bunch of like reds and turquoises on it. Super
like
pretty.
Copper rust.
Yeah.
On its
Yeah. It looks like it's oxidizing. Yeah. Another one.
Wow.
Handsome.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, my favorite picture of a marine iguana. This guy.
Very
does
pretty.
that not look straight out of like a CGI How to Train Your Dragon?
It
Like
does look like a
they
dragon.
could never. I'm sorry. No animation studio could ever.
Nope.
So good. So the cool thing, audio listeners, the cool thing about these iguanas, the way they look anyway, is they have like really, really short snouts, I think, is what makes them look so different. And they just look super dragony.
This is the closest thing to a dragon, especially when they're swimming underwater. Like,
So cool.
I feel like a lot of the dragons I've seen that like do the S snake in the air are like just these guys exactly in the water. It's really cool.
Are you impressed?
They're no longer mid. I like them.
Thank you.
It was I didn't know all those adaptations. Why wouldn't they tell us in the nature documentaries that?
They probably did. Maybe you weren't listening.
Maybe not, but
I feel like they probably told us. People have been.
But
There's
this is
a
like
lot
10
of really
years
cool
ago.
footage. Yeah.
So like maybe they didn't know all this.
Maybe they didn't know.
I feel like it was like a new discovery they were talking about.
Now we know. But I think they're a great contender for Most Confused because they literally showed up at the Galapagos Islands and they're like, wait, what do I do here? There's not enough food.
Right.
Okay, I guess I'll just go in here. And then they
And they
became
made it
marine
work.
iguanas.
Yeah, made it work. That's
so
cool.
cool.
I love that.
Big fan. This episode is brought to you by Quince. As the temperatures start rising, I feel the familiar urge to refresh my closet. But I'm not going to waste money on pieces that I'll only wear once or just for one season. And Quince changes that. Their clothes are timeless, lightweight, and far more elevated than anything else at this price. It finally feels like my wardrobe is matching my standards. They work directly with top artisans and cut out the middlemen, so they give you luxury without the markup. I got a really cute summer dress from Quince, and Connor fixed his pant problem.
Yeah, I got some really nice khaki pants that actually fit me.
Fit him.
Huge upgrade.
That's big news.
Mm-hmm. Give your summer closet an upgrade with Quince. Go to quince.com/wildest for free shipping on your order and 365-day return. That's quince.com/wildest to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/wildest. Thank you so much, Quince, for sponsoring this episode. Go get you some pants that fit you just like I did.
What do you got?
All right. I'm a little sick. Apologies. All right. So I was in Alaska next to a glacier.
Okay.
But it was Exit Glacier to be exact in Seward, Alaska. Climate change has been destroying this glacier. Here's a picture of the glacier and how much it has receded. So that white line at the far right was 1950, which is like at least a few miles back. It was like at the parking lot or something like that, is where it was. And then you had to do like a 20-minute hike into it onto the side, maybe where the blue line is on here, and then you could see the glacier. Anyway, these are every few years that it's receding. It's receded far back. I was there 10 years ago, and it looks dramatically different nowadays.
Sad.
Yeah, it really sucks. So to me, it's always just looked like an icy wasteland, and the only life being trees around it and the occasional corvids popping down and saying hi, looking for people's food scraps or something. And I was surprised to overhear a park ranger talking about ice worms. It's like, what are ice worms? Like, I feel like there's like no life here. So I wanted to learn more, and apparently there's a much more biodiverse ecosystem in glaciers than I ever thought.
I've never thought about it.
Do you know what like a glacier really is?
I have an idea in my head, but maybe I don't.
Before I went here, I was like, what? Like glacier? Like I think of like icebergs, moving through, carving out the Great Lakes or something like that.
Yeah.
A glacier is just a huge amount of snowfall that has been compacting on itself for, hundreds of years,
Oh.
thousands of years. So when you get enough snow in like a valley area, all that weight starts adding up and it keeps compacting on top of each other into super, super dense. Like glacier ice is like 8 times heavier than like the ice that you get out of your refrigerator or freezer. It's just super dense and heavy. So glaciers can recede and then they can expand.
Yeah.
And kind of how they like carve out areas is they lose their ice. Like it comes off and it pushes all that weight carves out the rock, and then the ice falls.
Yeah.
And like breaks off more rock and keeps like going back. So it just looked like a barren wasteland, which is great because there's just rocks everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are worms that live in glacier ice.
That sounds like not very much fun.
And they can't live outside of it. They're small, only about 1/2 inch is like the smallest, or 1.3 centimeters. Here's a picture of them.
Cute.
Very tiny.
It looks like an earthworm, like a dark earthworm.
They have to live in ice, and if they get over 41 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius, they liquefy and die.
What do you mean liquefy?
Like turn
Like they
in,
just melt?
Melt, yeah. The scientific paper said liquefy. Like their proteins in their body immediately just denatures and
what?
Yeah. So it's weird for like a worm to like go. I was very confused that they're freaking worms in ice. So the ice worms can move through very tiny cracks in the super compressed ice, is what they believe, but they're not really sure. They
what
also
are they eating?
I'll get to that in a second. They believe too that they can excrete an antifreeze component that melts the ice, and they can make their own tunnels. They have bristles
That's so cool.
around their body to help them grip and move through the ice. So here's like a picture of them in the ice here.
Oh my gosh.
And like you'd think they'd be dead.
They kind of look like nematodes a little bit, like the same shape. Like they look like semi-transparent a little bit. No?
We'll get to that in a minute. No.
Okay.
They have a really weird melanin adaptation. Adaptation, thank you. That they're looking at. And I'll get to that in a second. So their Latin name means sun avoider. I'm not going to try to say their Latin name because it's crazy. During the day, they travel further into the ice to stay cool. At night, they come to the surface to eat the algae, pollen, and bacteria. That is all they eat. There is ice algae.
What does it look like?
It's like green. It's like green algae. Yeah.
Okay.
So a 2002 study looked at a glacier in Washington state, and they found that there were around 2,600 worms per square meter, meaning that this 2.7 square kilometer glacier had over 7 billion ice worms. Typical density in what glaciers we have studied is 300 worms per square meter.
That's like not, you can't fathom that many worms.
It's like, what was the human population at? Like 8, 9 million?
Yes.
Or Bill?
I don't know. I wonder what the biomass is if you had to hold all the worms.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot.
I mean, they're starting to get more funding.
Yeah.
But there's a huge gap in study. Like I'm reading a ton of 2000 papers.
Yeah.
And they've recently picked it back up now that climate change has gotten worse because they're like losing out on the chance to study these because there's recently some more biomimicry that they could utilize from these guys.
Like what?
I'll get to that in a minute. I got like a whole line up for it, but it's insane. So anyway, so why are ice worms important? Well, they control the.
I was just gonna ask that. I was like, I wonder what they're doing in there.
Right, like what's their importance? Like, why does it matter? They control algae and other biofilms that would cover the glaciers, keeping it clean. I never thought of like how clean a glacier looks, but like
it's the ice worms.
Yeah, they're keeping the tops nice and clean. And people will. We went on a cruise, like a whale watching cruise, and they went up to the glacier and they like whatever calved off, so whatever ice came off the glacier, they would get it onto the boat and make margaritas out of it, which was like fine, like no big deal. But I'm like, I just learned about ice worms. I'm not about to have a margarita from this glacier.
But
and like,
they're visible to the eye.
It's very small though, 1/2 inch.
I feel like it wouldn't hurt you because by the time they get in your mouth, they liquefy.
Yeah.
So it's like just part of the margarita.
Right. But I'm also like, what ancient diseases are trapped in ice from long, long time ago.
That part's fair, yeah.
So I have that irrational fear. Like climate change, like what if there's this like ancient million-year disease that comes and just wipes out? Or maybe there's aliens trapped. It'd be impressive
if it could withstand being in a glacier that long. But yeah, I hear you.
I'm also worried about like aliens as ice melts or glaciers melts. Aliens come out and attack us.
It would be really impressive if we hadn't caught on to that yet. Maybe not, actually. I guess people aren't really digging.
There's a lot of sci-fi movies about that, but I digress.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're the other thing is they're a large food source to migratory birds.
Okay.
5 species of birds heavily rely on these iceworms as food source.
Uh-huh. So they're just like on the surface then.
They come out in the evening. Yeah, so up in like Alaska and Washington, like the sun in the summer doesn't really set. I mean, it does a little bit more in Washington. Alaska, midsummer, like the sun goes behind the mountains so they can come out and not be directly in the sun.
Yeah.
But these birds can come pick them up.
Okay,
as
sweet.
well.
So they're really important in a lot of ways, actually.
Yep. So cool. I have a picture of like a bird eating some of these, like pecking through the ice to get it, which is really cute. So they also study the worms to understand how they make energy and make energy better when it is colder. Most animals make proteins, enzymes, and bodily function worse when it gets colder. So they get better, they get more efficient.
Yeah.
Here's a quote from National Geographic article where they interviewed some of the researchers. So the iceworm's ATP synthase, which is virtually identical to all known organisms, so same as you or I, this molecule is close to 100% efficiency in its work, unheard of for any invention outside the natural world. Biochemists view it with awe. It's an extraordinary machine, Shane says. Close to 100% efficiency. Like, if you got 100% efficiency, that's where you're looking at the infinite energy glitch. So they're looking at why can they create ATP without very much energy loss.
Right. Yeah.
How can we take that to humans as well?
Right.
How can we use that for? Can we learn
a classic?
About that? Yeah, but that's like not that harmful. Like clean energy.
It could be huge. Right?
Yeah,
if we actually understood that.
And it's funding this, which also funds because they got to start looking at the birds that come into it. They got to look at climate change and how it's affecting that. So this funding can extend well past just iceworms into more conservation, which is great. So they also study these worms to understand how, the iceworms researchers are planning to study more about the iceworms. They have a hypothesis that the iceworms' melanin cells might be able to produce energy from the sun, which is absolutely crazy because they're not always eating bacteria. They're not always eating algae or pollen. So they hypothesize
they're photosynthesizing
that their melanin could potentially photosynthesize.
What?
Because they have melanin, like most animals in this world only have melanin on the outside. Yeah. They have melanin throughout, covering their muscles, organs, everywhere they have melanin. So there's a lot of evidence pointing towards that. So they're trying to study that more. So how can we get people to photosynthesize with our melanin?
That'd be so sick.
I would love that.
That would be so, dude, if we didn't have to worry about eating, it's like the most miserable part of being an adult.
Yep.
You just got afraid it's always eating. Imagine you're just passively creating energy all the time. I'm actually pissed at the iceworms right now. That's so sick.
So the other question that I came up with in my head when I'm researching this, like, how do they not genetically bottleneck themselves? The whole population is in one glacier.
Yeah.
They're not.
They're inverts. Inverts are really good at that.
Right. You can still, like, I was like, is there a cool mechanism? But, like, they're reproducing so fast. There's so many of them. Like, okay, maybe they have something there. Well, actually, it turns out that it's most likely migratory birds transferring eggs between different glaciers. And they've been finding a lot of, like, Alaskan iceworms in these other glaciers in Canada and Washington and Oregon.
Picking them up and putting them down, or they're getting on the bird's feet,
like
or something?
Like poop. Iceworms get eaten, eggs pass through.
How do they survive that?
I don't know. They have to figure that out. So something crazy there.
That is bizarre.
Because if it was on the feet, yeah, unless it's like in the winter time and it's still cold. So that's why they're trying to figure that out, which is weird. So as climate change melts our glaciers, we lose this habitat, this bird food, potential breakthrough in biomimicry technologies, and a handful of scientists are rushing to study them as it looks like one day we will lose a large portion of our glaciers. From a 2022 article from Smithsonian, they say 1/3 of the glaciers located within the World Heritage Sites will disappear. No matter how much humans try to halt global warming, within the next 30 years, they will be gone, says the report.
30?
1/3
30
of
sucks.
1/3 of our glaciers. Glaciers are beautiful. Like this picture, like, isn't that just a beautiful landscape?
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy that that's biodiverse. That looks so barren.
It does. Yeah, it looks like a movie.
So it's like, well, why do people care? Well, now they're starting to figure out there's more that rely on it.
Did that send you spiraling? Existentially?
I've been in an existential spiral for a long time.
Really?
Yeah.
Still? When was the last time we talked about that semi recently?
Yeah, I'm better now.
My first conservation existential spiral was when I was on an island in Belize, and they were studying mangrove fishes on this island. It was like so beautiful, and it was really cute. It was like small. It was very walkable end to end. Like you could do it like 50 times in a day or something.
Okay,
like it was a very small island. And I was hanging out with some researchers there, and I was like, this is so beautiful. Like, this is amazing. And they're like, well, enjoy it because it'll be gone in 50 years. And I was like, 50? Like 50? And they're like, yep.
That's what, 5 years ago?
Because of sea level rise. Yeah.
So yeah, I got 45 years.
I got 45 years to go back, maybe less than that. I don't know. And I probably won't. And I was just like sitting there. I was sitting there on a tiny research island in Belize, alone, sitting on the sand, looking at the ocean. And I was like, man, this is bad for me mentally. It was a spiral. That is crazy to think about. But I've also never seen a glacier in person, so I don't have much of like a personal connection to that one. You have.
This is the first time I like, now that there's more than just, it stores carbon and water.
Yeah.
Now that there's like
a bunch of stuff in there, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm way more attached. I wish I knew that going into it.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I appreciated it. And I was like, man, I was down here 10 years ago. I remember that. I got pictures.
Yeah.
And now it's gone this way. And like, I'm just like, I land on, I've got to do as much as I can without burning myself out. And that's all, like, that's where I've landed for a while.
That's the best you can do. My advice, I said this recently on stream. I just talked to some climate researchers at NRDC, at an NRDC event, which is Natural Resources Defense Council. And I asked one of the climate scientists, I said, how do you cope like with existential spirals as someone who's like, especially someone who's working in like advocacy and policy work?
Yeah.
Tough right now.
Right.
For the environment. And she said, as long as you always have more love for what you're fighting for than anger for what you're fighting against, you will be fine. And I said, okay, I will just trust you on that.
Right.
I believe her. She's older and she's wiser, and she knows what she's doing. And so I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna lean on that then. Next time I feel really existential about it, I'm just gonna be like, you know what? But I love the natural world so much, so I will be fine.
Good outweighs the bad. That's not always enough in the moment.
I'm trusting her.
But long term, I do think it does work. I like something that's helped me cope is watching Climate Town on YouTube.
I haven't watched them.
They're
wait, is that the one you showed me?
No, it's different. I've sent you them before. They're like 40-minute videos.
Oh, sorry.
But they are climate comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And he does it really well, and it's really well researched. And kind of shows like kind of some of the not conspiratorial stuff, but like shows the backdoor government BS.
Yeah.
And all this kind of stuff. And like he shows how close we were to like not messing up our planet.
You know the other cool thing about our planet? We won't spiral this whole episode. The other cool thing about our planet that helps me is that nature is like wildly resilient.
Yeah.
Wildly resilient. And we have lost a ton of species, and we are constantly losing a ton of species. But there are so many stories where even small amounts of human intervention change everything.
Right.
Like change the course of that species and keeps them from extinction. And so if we're able to do a little, nature can do a lot with it.
Like the oceans during COVID, some areas just rebounded.
I love seeing pictures of like, crazy thing to say, not of like ruins, but of like like concrete where there's like stuff growing out of it,
like
you know?
Chernobyl.
Yes.
Like it's just all grown up now.
Yeah. The fact that nature is able to like come back from that, like the succession and then the species that come in and like the ecosystems that are built, we just need to give it an inch.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
That's
so
where
sick.
I landed at with this.
Yeah. Cool. This episode is brought to you by HelloFresh. Fresh air, sunshine, and good food. That's what spring is all about. HelloFresh makes it easier to fit quick home-cooked meals into your schedule every week by curating delicious recipes like pasta primavera. Connor loves HelloFresh.
I do. I bring it into work. That's how easy it is to make it. Chandler and I will sit there for, 20, 30 minutes cooking, having a great meal. And I've never had a bad meal from HelloFresh. There's a lot of vegetarian options that we really love that Kayla, my wife, loves as well. I'm a big fan of them.
Big fan. Every HelloFresh meal uses high-quality proteins, including seasonal fresh produce and proteins that travel from the farm to your doorstep. And there are flexible deliveries, so you guys can pause or you can skip whenever you need to.
Feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/Wildest10FM now to get 10 free meals with a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied at discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. Thank you so much, HelloFresh, for sponsoring this episode.
Okay, more fun topic. My next one I'm very excited about. Mudskippers.
Nice.
Mudskippers. So there's 25 species of this walking fish. They live in muddy swamps and rivers, tropical and subtropical regions in Africa, Australia, and Asia. They can spend as much time, if not more time, on land than in water. But they are a fish. Actually, prolonged stays in water can even drown the fish. Because they use their gill chambers to breathe, and they like rub mud on them, and they use their fins to fill them with water and air, and they can also breathe through their skin, like amphibians. They like breathe air quotations.
Interesting.
Yeah. Look at them.
Oh, they look a little goofy, but adorable.
How do you describe that? It
2 bulgy eyes on the very top of the head, and then a very round cylindrical nose.
I'm sorry. He just looks really dumb. Like, he looks like he has no thoughts whatsoever.
Okay, yeah.
Like,
There's no
eyes are going
there.
separate directions. They're just bulgy eyes and just like a big round head. Here's one that looks pissed off.
Oh, yeah. Reminds me of like the shrimp on Finding Nemo. Except in a fish, if that makes sense. Like little eyes popping up.
And this one looks like he's frowning, and you can see like the start of his little legs.
Yeah, he's posting up.
Okay, he's posting up. They've got little legs. Yeah. This is what they look like, full frame.
Okay. Like a slug?
Dude, it looks like a slugfish with little tiny legs sticking out the sides. With eyes on the top of its head. They are so freaking cute. Their eyes are huge. They are very, very visual creatures. Here's a TikTok to show you how visual they are.
Okay.
I cannot. I'm sorry. Audio listeners, you have to jump on the YouTube to see this.
Dropping some water on it.
It's a guy with like a little water dropper. This is a pet mudskipper. And as he's dropping the water, the mudskipper is trying to like track the water as it's falling down. He looks up at the water, and then when it hits the water surface, he like looks down really fast to watch it fall because he thinks it's food.
Oh,
is that not the cutest thing you've ever seen?
That was really cute. I didn't know you could have them as pets. You shouldn't get one as pets, but
yeah, some people have them.
Interesting.
Cool things about them: they can jump up to 2 feet above the mud. 2 feet.
What?
They're little. They can like propel themselves with their tail. They like whip their tail around and jump up.
Jeez.
Up to 2 feet above the mud during mating season to impress females. They are super territorial. We thought they were cute and happy and stupid. Here's them pissed off.
Oh, they're fighting.
Yes.
They look like sea lions.
Super territorial. Fighting. They have these like dorsal fins that stick up on the top, and they like fan those out, and they open their mouths huge. Like the Scream guy, huge. And they fight each other. They have little tiny teeth, and they fight each other when mating. They can walk on land, they can jump, and they can freaking climb trees. But they're a fish. Is that not confusing? We're looking at a picture. Why'd you make that face? You don't like that?
No, I think it's cool. It's weird.
We're looking at a picture right now of a mudskipper, and it's like on glass, so you can see the bottom of it. They have these two little feetsies, okay, that are like legs with fins at the end of them. So it's like fin legs. And then underneath, like on their chest, they have this like suction cup thing.
Yeah.
And so it helps them to grab onto rocks, and it helps they can climb trees.
What?
This way.
What?
I just said that. You missed it.
They can
walk. They can walk on land. They can jump, and they can climb trees.
I missed the tree part. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, they take their little legs and their little suction cup.
Why the heck do they need to climb trees?
I don't know. They have places to be. Why do you need to climb a tree? Maybe they like it. I don't actually have the biological answer to that. I don't know. I don't know. BBC has all the freaking good footage of these mudskippers, which really pisses me off. So I don't have it to show you. I wanted to show you how they move though. So I found this one YouTube short. It's called Mudskipper Training, and it's a guy, and he like puts his finger there and tries to get the mudskipper to come over, and this just kind of shows you how they move.
Oh, they're so cute.
Isn't that incredible?
Oh my god, it's like a bunny. Like it hops like a bunny.
Did you see how he moves his tail?
Yeah.
You can play the audio. They'll like that. Training. Target.
That's so cute. Okay. Yeah. Clicker.
I'm obsessed with them. I think they're so funny, and they're so cute, and they're so confused because why are they doing all that as a fish?
That is very confusing.
Thank you.
I like it.
I love them. I think they're so cool.
I'm gonna be a mud skipper when I grow up and climb trees.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. All right. I've got I was kind of confused. So when you think of an armadillo, well, there's 21 species of armadillos. I don't know. I think of like the armored armadillos and stuff like that. They're pretty large.
Yeah.
They have armor on the back. They go in a little ball. And they're like in some like arid areas and whatnot.
We have armadillos.
Yeah.
9-banded armadillos.
Isn't there another invasive one?
In Texas?
Maybe it was just in Georgia. 9-banded ended up becoming invasive.
Oh, I don't know.
Well, they've always been good diggers and stuff like that. But here's a very confusing one: a pink fairy armadillo.
Oh, I love these.
The smallest armadillo in the armadillo family.
Audio listeners, it looks like
a shrimp.
It looks like a shrimp. Yes, it looks like a shrimp that's hairy underneath, but is a shrimp on the top and has mole hands.
Mm-hmm. So they're found in central Argentina, especially in dry grasslands, sandy plains, and scrubby deserts. Mm-hmm. They prefer areas with loose sand-like soil for digging. They're nicknamed the sand swimmers. So they love to dig burrows, and they can do it really, really fast because that's how they get away from predators, because their back is not actually armor. It's a keratin-like structure that has blood vessels, empty blood vessels up there. So it can, when it needs to cool off, it brings the blood up to the surface, lets the heat exchange to the air. Big. And then when it doesn't, when it needs to conserve heat, it brings the blood down. So that pink on the back of the armadillo was actually like the blood color, which is interesting. So it's not defensive. It's purely for thermal control. So they can dig in a matter of seconds into the sand. They're just so efficient at it. And that's also how they escape extreme temperatures too, is digging. So they're roughly the size of a hamster. So they're pretty small.
Oh my God, that's so much smaller than I thought.
Mm-hmm. So their shell, when they're digging, they'll actually use that shell to help compact their burrows so the tunnels don't collapse on them. So like they push up, they use like a specialized tail. They'll use their tail to compress the dirt behind them, and then they'll push up on the burrows.
That's so cool.
To compress it, yeah. Which is really interesting. So they're omnivorous, mostly insectivores, feeds on ants, larvae, worms, plant matter. They love themselves some roots and tubers. They are there's no IUCN red list on them. There's data deficient.
Sad. That's kind of surprising because
they're hard to study.
Oh,
they're like solitary.
Okay.
And they only come out at night because it's so hot in like these deserty areas. So they come out at night. And the sightings have just gone down.
Yeah.
And they think domestic dogs and cats, owls and foxes and humans trying to turn desert into like farmland are causing their populations to collapse. So they're trying to figure out how to study them. Because the other thing is they do awful in captivity. Awful. So there was the max, there was only one, like there's no scientific data to support this claim, but every research article I said was like, people said that there was once one of these armadillos that lived in like a captive care for 4 years before it died. Because for the most part, they die within a few minutes to a few days of being captured.
From stress?
From stress, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so it's really hard to study there. But even though they die so fast, they're still in the pet trade. So they're some illegal pet trade people are able to keep them alive for a few months, sell them off, and then
they're not able to breed them, huh? They just poach them.
Poach.
Wow.
When they can find them, which really sucks. So it's just it's really interesting. They're not sure how they breed. They're not sure how much they breed. There was a lot of during like the Falkland Island Wars, which was like, from my understanding, like Argentina versus the UK, down there in Argentina. These guys were like a lot of cultural significance to the Argentinians fighting, and when they were in the deserts, it was a sign of good luck if the armadillos were around. So there's a lot of mythology around them because they're not seen all that often.
Yeah.
So it tends to be a good thing. But yeah, I just didn't really expect to find them, especially without armor. It was very confusing.
Yeah, they're such a weird looking guy. There's a crazy taxidermy at the Smithsonian Institute of what it looks like, and it's like, what a weird creature. Yeah. Like it looks like maybe if a kid tried to draw like a hamster and an armadillo combo.
Right.
And when I say like a kid tried to draw it, I mean its proportions are really bizarre too. It's got a really short nose and giant feet. Like huge feet.
Yeah.
And huge claws. And it's so fuzzy underneath.
Yeah, so the hair, because they're coming out at night, deserts get pretty cold. So that fur there keeps them warm. And if it rains and they get rained on, they're toast because they can't thermoregulate, especially if it's at night.
What the heck? What
yeah,
a
they're
crazy
just
creature.
Really sensitive.
That sucks.
So I think that's another thing in captivity, like temperature regulation is just hard.
Wow, it's so weird looking. Guys, you got to look these up. That is a crazy looking creature.
There's not a ton of pictures on them either. There's definitely, a handful, but there's just not a lot out there, which is interesting. But I don't know.
Wow.
Crazy. There.
Crazy. All right. Well, that was cool. I knew that those existed, but I didn't know anything about them.
Cool. And yeah, the marine iguanas, they're not mid.
I think they're awesome. I have like a lot of love for those and Mudskippers now.
Yeah.
I want to learn more about Mudskippers. I think they're so cute and so funny.
It'd be a cool bookmark.
Yeah, Mudskipper bookmark incoming to the Patreon.
Heck yeah.
Guys, we are going to go film our Patreon episode right now. Go check us out over there if you haven't already. Like and subscribe. Go tell your friends about pink fairy armadillos.
Yeah.
And Mudskippers. That's all.
Goodbye.
Thank you for watching.